Hello, this is Colin Dawson, and this is Proper Racism in the United States discussed on the Political Minute. Like and subscribe. In this, I'm going to be going over the situation over Native Americans and everything, in continuation over proper racism from part one. The fact of proper racism in the United States of America is that there has to be a group used for ritualistic human sacrifice in order to move one up in properalities. One then uses the people for however it is to increase their situation, looking for the best and highest choice people. Those that are the most worldly to those that are the most unworldly. Their furthest extent of constructation, furthest extent of diversity, furthest extent of genetic diversity, and stagnation in a way. And with this, I can say almost definitely that people are very much for this in the red society. Black people try to take this completely for themselves, when generally in the South, they lose out, fighting with other people over the sacrificial situation for it. Now, there have been black spikes, as a common terminology, and white spikes that people have done whatever it is, bought them, not been able to free the people that were bought simply because that's illegal for Native Americans to do that, citing that they had lost populations overseas and everything else, and has been reinterpreted between black and white authors to their benefit because they are the colonial powers. And it's just that the Europeans were able to get a foothold here over all the times that they had ever done anything. This is the situation that is the truth of the situation. Generally, when it comes up to a single black person being killed, a single white person being killed, everything out there that black people will throw at is just to destroy Native Americans. I know I really don't have a future writing or anything else, and it is the truth. And they are now clashing in Washington, D.C. over this, basically saying yellow people haven't sacrificed enough Native Americans and gotten in touch with their inner cowboy and have joined Christianity or else some form of human sacrificial means amongst removing a type of population, a group from there. So, in and of this, I will say the absolute truth, and I don't care. It isn't racism. This is just how you have to control them. They are completely out of control, black and white. And it doesn't matter. It's not a political situation. It's just disguised as it. And the whole fact of pretending to be medics and everything else, while people are 100% basically just marching in any way for Mussolini on both sides of this whole thing, and are basically the enemies of the United States. There was more black people probably in population that fought for the Axis powers that they sent to the United States to basically continue onward through their dogma and things that they knew that said that the United States was filled with basically Jews that were moved and put in Oklahoma or else on reservations. Now, in saying all of this, I basically look at you all and say, there just needs to be people removed from Connecticut and Rhode Island, paid properly for their stuff, and they can go out, and since they can't do anything but make biscuits and everything else, they can live in someplace else, little doggy biscuits, and they will be properly compensated. We've already gotten the genetic tagging because the government can use anything sent to any genetic database for crimes and purposes of identification anywhere out there. They just don't have your fingerprints yet. They should tell everybody that's just some sort of fortune telling thing. Now, what you need to do out here is go and, lack of a better thing, too, if you wonder about the drawing behind me, the nieces showed up and I wasn't going to get rid of their little picture yet. Moving along from the comic break here so that you can laugh at whatever it is, you all really do need to just flip a coin. And since it's an urban situation, most white people and black people are incredibly urbanized and come from urbanized communities and societies. We should just lock them in a giant fenced area, these two states. And whenever they can get along with their own selves, we can have a little bitty thing that moves out there in the name of like George Carlin and stuff, where he had taught about stuff, and open it up just a little bit and let people in and see if they can get along. Then if they can't get along, they can all just, and I'm being serious, we're going to make a bureau of white and black people. And I know black people will eventually just say, it's all African because everywhere there's a black person that they want, because it's called, internal constructation. They're saying all come back to Africa. These groups from this place, these groups from that place, these groups from this one. They've all been treated, they are the lowest common denominator. They're the lowest people out there. They are the untouchables. They are this, that, and the other. And the white people are like, only the great elites or whoever it is that's on top that never had anything and never blamed the government. Please come back to Europe and areas out there. And it is absolutely the truth over it. And, this is why I'm saying there doesn't need to be a bureau of yellow people, because there's just not anything else out there, or else Asiatic natives, maybe we should call it that way. And no one really understands the proper way of human sacrifice with it. So since these people have this nature in amongst themselves, they know that they only get their powers from killing their own people, because that's what they've done forever and a day out there. And in sacrificing people, human sacrificing, that's actually establishing a royalty in the United States. So these people have to be taken out, black or white, and put in there. And we'll have the people that, under a case-by-case situation, not a background check situation like you do for guns, because that's just too much, because even the red flag laws, aren't good enough for whatever it is, because it's just one person. Technically, if you speak to me or else make a word around there, since I didn't accost you, it's a red flag, and everything else. But I'm being as honest with you as I can. We need in every way to make this happen. And we can put them all in there, because, one of the things is like, I stole your soul and I framed you up and everything, and it's on both sides of it. And you think these people would get along, but it's really not. And it's like, I know off of reservation, since black people have given Orientals their yellow back, and white people will probably be doing it here in like the next 6 months or something else. So they'll be their own separate group again or something. I'm just saying, you think these people using stuff like, and you know which one goes for which group out there, because they've got this copyrighted in a way. And I'm really not trying to be funny about it, but when you look at yourselves and everything else, why don't you get the fuck along? Because we need, as much as humanly possible, to make a bureau of white people and a bureau of black people, separate from everything and held under the War Department, for how dangerous these people are getting with fake medical, fake everything else, to poison and hurt the other people. And it's like, I'm just used to this being, it's like Nazis and stuff. So it's like, maybe just in a way, you've drank enough water and you realize that you really have became the Nazis in every way. And, we can give you a case-by-case situation. Maybe we can make a state out there. And, there's a rapper that comes to my mind. I'm sorry. It's generally another group out there. And New Jersey We're going to plow over New Jersey and cap it with what the Japanese did for their nuclear cities and everything else. Therefore, there's not a problem with the toxic waste that's there. And if they, behave properly like how Arizona is for people from Oklahoma, they can go there and buy the property in cash totally with whatever it is and set up something out there, kind of like how West Study did and everything. And then we can have some place, can't be too close to Oklahoma because we know it's made so many problems. Name the first white state that is on Oregon. No, we can't do that. That's not good. Let's see here. Wyoming. Yes, Wyoming. Square. It's bigger. Yeah, we can't do bigger. Yeah, let's see here. Maine. It's where we send the terrorists to. And these people can go out that are from, like, white people and can go there. I know we all want to say Wisconsin because of Little House on the Prairie, but it's an iconic thing of America. And, that's just something not for you all because you're really not those people. You're people that would wield that celebrity unnaturally and not go by your own selves and rely off of something that's from the past like royalty. Same thing with certain other stuff out there. But in this whole thing, when we go out there and we can all have everybody genetically bagged and tagged and, see who all meets proper qualifications, and you can't claim anything unless you're 48% of whatever your ethnicity is. Because we all know and we need to respect Irish, Austrians, and Russians, as well as that which is Hutsis and Ewoks and Wooks and Dongolans and Dakota, as well as like 14 other different tribalistic groups. And we will never use the word for whatever it is that's been in everything because it's like a universal thing, and we just will not say Zulu. Kind of like how they're rewriting that Mark Twain went to all these racial riots, and it was a typo because only Zulus are the only black people that have ever been in the United States or brought here from slavery. Kind of like, they missed the Amistad movie and everything else. And, just missed most of the first bit of like USA history with stuff out there with it. Over like with the Native Americans and stuff. They burned most of those books back in the 80s, 1980s, and 90s. Anyway, this is just more proof that people on both sides were incredibly horrid. And I mean, they all go on about this one person, Mr. Cook, white hair and blue eyes. They just like Japanese tattoos. So we're going to make sure that we do whatever it is with it and make the cutoff right here with everything. And just say, and I mean, I don't care. I'm getting in so much trouble here. I don't care. And make him German. So anything from his DNA over means German and everything else. And that there'll be absolutely no one else with anything. Because we know exactly what all the traits are and everything. And just like how, let's see here, Will Smith, he's Libyan. Look how light he is. And, actually, you're right. We do have Rihanna. She already shows where the Moroccan coast is and everything else and all of this and how we just love Rihanna and everything else. So there's the cutoff for where everything is, and we'll make things somewhere between there and everything else and show where proper traits are and everything. And, there can just be some little angry people. Maybe we can have like a reservation and we can all start up with basic crafts and everything that, oh, you all do that and everything, and move right along. And in the proper forms of racism, then everybody can say about how people are used for ritualistic human sacrifices, and the presidents can come along, and governors and mayors and people, and do whatever it is that they do. And that will just be what will happen. And as such, we will be able to keep everyone completely happy and safe, and their culturalistic practices can be kept and assured that they are 100% there. And it won't be embellished into something of insanity or craziness and people going off with everything else. And there will be just a complete zone of whatever it is. And we understand that there's basically so many groups and natives that have been wiped out or killed, or people out there, and they're all fighting over the partials to make it in a hierarchy as it comes up to the one, and they all want to donate their 1/32 since there, and put everybody together and get all their magic powers and be like, that's like 1 year, right? Or 1 day in the presidency. And, everyone can practice Scottish Messianicisms in their own little place, or else in their own little area. And then they can realize that there's probably Protestant situations there with how Norman sacrifices, or Gaelic for wherever it is, that's only recognized underneath the Protestant governments, and even secular governments that are completely parliaments without royalty and everything else. And we all love Germans, and there was German colonies in Africa, so it's like, it's like the other side of the dark side of the moon and everything. It's still the moon, and they can all get along with each other, and you can understand that there was human sacrifices by numerous groups in Africa. I can name a few of them out there with Dongola, but then that comes back to, the principality of Rome and stuff with currency and manipulation. And they'll just say, excuse me, they'll just say I'm Catholic bashing and everything else, when actually this country is really about bashing the Eastern Orthodoxes, even more than when they were communist and now they're all Russian. But this is just what comes up with everything out there for it. After all, ritualistic human sacrifice is the way that people go out and take over individual city-states of Mayan and Central American cultures and say these people really aren't that because they're not making human sacrifices, which is similar to like with Jesus. They just haven't accepted Jesus yet. And see, that needs to, you keep wanting to try and put that on because we understand you're isolated. You just need to be in these little bitty areas, and you know how to build all this. There'll be steel and other stuff there, and you'll get so much of a staple from that, which is the government, and we won't have this problem. And yes, I know a lot of the people out there are just joining you because they're scared. It's mob mentality, mob psychology. And no, quit going with MAGA all the time out there. I'm seriously here. I mean, this racer's a little bit. There's blank side. There's this side. Okay. No, I can't do that. It's got color on it. It says colorific. Just one of the writing tapes says dark side of the moon, blank on one side. Okay? Or something. Throw that over. Came up on this side. This is the black side. Even though it's white. This is Rhode Island. It was agreed upon beforehand. I have parents. I'm not one yet. Anyway, this is this for Rhode Island. Black people get Rhode Island. So, let's see here. That messes up New Jersey and Maine. White people get Connecticut. The moon owns your soul. And I'm just going to be honest with you. Let's see here. Can't be a border state. I forgot. Can't be a border state to anything. Black people get Iowa. You have to give up. No, we can make a seawall around this. We can still make Rhode Island and that work. And whenever they come out, they can buy land still in those areas because Arizona's a border state. And we're going to seawall off everything. So it still works originally. This is just a way we have to do this because they need to have their situations protected. And they can't be the same people because, just like with white spikes and black spikes and everything else, they're really just not Native American. It's something that doesn't happen in people's genomes. Now, I'm really happy that you've listened to me so long. And in a way, I'm not trying to make fun of anything, but in a way, it's kind of lighthearted and everything else. And we all understand. Please like and subscribe. Colin James Dawson.